Today's going to be a really simple day. I'm not going to do very much, but work on mine a little bit. Let me clear some of this stuff out of here. Thought I had dirt in my inventory for a good reason, but I forget why now. Boop dirt. Might as well get rid of that sand. Unload these hoes. And get a hatchet as well. Hose and some of this dark wood. I recently went around and collected some wood. I was running a little low on the different sorts of woods that I had here in this world. So, boop, boop, boop. I had to do a little circuit and get some of those. And I just like dark wood. I like hanging on to it. I am a big fan. Alright, let me make this little hatchet. So I gotta put these hose up on the roof because that's where I generally keep them. A long time ago, and I guess maybe occasionally now I still do it. I'll just carry a hoe around just in case I need to farm out in the middle of nowhere. But I feel pretty well established in terms of where I need to farm and when, etc., etc. I need to do so much improvisational farming, and hoes are kind of easy to make. Let me get some buckets. Do some bucket work if I have to. So anyway, what do we have today? Oh yeah, Russia and China are working together to. That's what I want to do. I was thinking about doing an aesthetic issue here. You'll notice that these pads here, they have an upper level and a bottom level. The upper level is the ring that I'm on. The lower level is the direction. So ideally I could navigate from any of these squares. I know exactly where I am within the mine itself. It doesn't always play out that way. But I'm going to see if this circle, what circle is this? Gosh darn it. I can look at my own thing. Alright, it's going to be circled, I think. 16? 17, 18? No, it'd have to be 14, right? I made the system, I can't even keep track of it. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, yeah, okay. Look, it's a great system, I just don't use it a lot. It turns out that I get lost in my own mind less than I anticipated. So that's what's happening here. So I cut those corners out well. That's great news. This is my light. Oops. Alright. Always collecting mushrooms. Always collecting whatever I can. You know? So right, yeah, no. Russia and China, they've been sharing technologies. Mostly China to Russia. Russia, for some reason, if you read the news, they have respectable cyber attack tools, but what they don't have are tools to control private citizens' access to the internet to the extent that China does. So they've been working together on that recently. My impression was always that, look, so there we go. All right, gold mining. So they've been putting their heads together on that recently. I mean, not that America's doing a whole lot better. I mean, obviously, if you're keeping track of the news, you know that there's been strongly suspected Russian involvement in terms of hacking candidates in the presidential race we just had a couple weeks ago. That's still developing in terms of the evidence released and who believes what, and FBI versus CIA, and people are accusing Mitch McConnell of treason. It's kind of wild right now, but under the perhaps ambitious assumption that will all be settled later. I'm just gonna kind of go right through that because AT&T and Verizon were really the guys that I wanted to talk about this week, because they have these what are called zero rating plans. And the deal is that people who provide internet are not allowed to say, hey, look, you got to pay to get to Wikipedia. or hey, look, you got to pay to get to the New York Times, or you have to pay to get to, say, Fox News or Breitbart or HuffPo, or they're not allowed to discriminate between sites when it comes to pay. They're not allowed to meter it to prevent them from controlling Americans' access to information. So the deal is that the obvious other side of that is that people without a certain amount of money can't access news, or those actual websites have to pay money, which they then either have to pass on to the viewer, consumer, visitor, or they just go under. So it's harder for websites to exist and to compete. But AT&T and Verizon or whoever's providing that service would get money. So what do they care? This doesn't have the polished granite andesite diorite panels on it because this is a side thing. Every 80th ring has these channels coming off of it, so I don't have to go all the way around to get to a central corridor. I can kind of cut through conveniently. So one of the flourishes I need to do here is to actually rip up these center stripes and then give them just the center stripe and give it a color scheme corresponding to the directional scheme of the center plates, which I haven't gotten around to doing yet because I think I had to redo the entire directional scheme, because what I have now I'm sure was incredibly clever at the time, but I really have to reference it by rote now and not really a larger understanding of a system in terms of having a table to consult versus a language. I've forgotten that language, and what I need to do is just break down and create a table, hopefully with some sort of iconography that I can recycle for other purposes in Minecraft, so that I'm not just making a one-use mining only set of symbols and colors. How's my inventory doing? Pretty full, not too full. Boop, boop. So right, so anyway, these zero rating plans say, hey, look, we're not going to specifically meter anyone, but what we will do is we will provide some things free. We're going to lower your data cap. We're going to provide some things for free, and then other things count towards your data cap. So that's a de facto charge on some sites, and it is making sites which pay to be part of that group free. So consumer pays for folks that aren't in the group, and then folks in the group pay to be part of the group. So it's the worst of both worlds in terms of what they call net neutrality. And thankfully, since I initially saw this news article and acted like I do anything. Since I initially saw this article and kind of wrote up about it for me to talk about here, the FCC has shot down both Verizon's plan and AT&T's plan. So it's good news. It's the FCC doing its job, watching out for folks, as you would expect them to do. So whenever you don't have to pay to access Wikipedia in 2017, go ahead and thank the FCC. Although you should definitely give to their drive, because it's that time of year. Because, let's face it, guys, things cost money. And you like things, they need money to continue doing that thing. So either turn off your ad blockers or throw in some money, or... Oh, shoot, am I really out of... Oh, wow, my inventory's getting kind of foolish, too. Pitch in to help people. So if you like something, pay for it, or else it's just going to go away. Anyway, there isn't. I usually have like one big kind of ranty thing that I do, like one issue that I analyze in depth or whatever. I'm not doing that today. I'm just doing the smaller articles. So yeah, the deal is that they've got these Magnox reactors in Russia. I've really written myself into a corner because I can't really tell you right offhand why they're Magnox. There's magnesium and probably oxides in there, but what they do have is a graphite moderator, and graphite's fancy carbon. And carbon has some amazing thermal properties, in addition to being, you know, the building block of life. So is that everything? Did I get everything? What's my inventory look like? Looking good. 2 steps back up. All right. So I'm going to go a little bit further, and then I'm probably going to cut through a wall to see if I've overshot, because I may not have cut the... I may not have cut through the inner circle here. It's going to tell me when to stop digging here. Yeah, I've overshot. Ooh, cool. I was talking about, yeah, right. So, graphite moderator, graphite blocks. Moderator just slows down neutrons so they can hit water right, so you can get energy out of the neutrons, which is the whole deal with nuclear power. So anyway, carbon's been turned into carbon-14 by the irradiation. It decays, I think, half-life about 5,700 years. So after about 5,700 years, that carbon-14 is going to undergo what's called beta decay to nitrogen-14. And, yeah, that's the one. God damn it. So, I got some good, I guess I got a good haul out of that. That's going to completely screw up a lot of my efforts in the days to come. But, right, so this is my thing. 1, 2, 3, new corridor here. By necessity, boop, boop. Just don't need to cut that corner, it's pretty well cut. There we go. I'll get that stuff out of that chest one day. Oh god, I'm lost now. Okay, no, I got it. I'm on it. So anyway, so now beta decay is the emission of a what you call it, an electron. And electrons are just electricity. So what you can do is you can take a heap of this carbon-14 and you can put it inside of a synthetic diamond. And the synthetic diamond will conduct the electrical current, which basically is the radiation, and it will turn it into a power supply for a small, low voltage, I guess low wattage, electrical device. So, and we already do this. I believe there are polonium powered pacemakers in operation. And the deal is that because of the long half-life, it's going to take 5,000 years for the power of that thing to dip in half. So the power source on these things lasts longer than most people survive. It can be used for space equipment, like Voyager probes and things like that. Again, not a lot of energy in there, but a long lifespan. So anyway, and because this is nuclear waste, this is remarkable because previous batteries just used, you know, actual, I won't say actual isotopes because it's not entirely accurate. You know, you find fresh radioactive material in the wild, you put it into the battery, everybody's happy. In this case, we're taking waste, which would otherwise just go to a waste center and sit in the ground. You know, it's the sort of nuclear waste that we're always kind of worried about getting rid of, like Wacko Warner trying to potty in that one Animaniacs clip that goes on for, gosh, just a long time. Anyway. Ooh, diamonds? I'm going to cut some stairs on the other side of this. So really 4 stairs? Probably more than 4 stairs. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope, 4. 1. And I can probably just dig through at this point. 2. Yeah, it's not gravel everywhere. Dig up, Chris. 3. Yeah. It'll be just fine. Right. So it's a way for us to reuse a very specific kind of waste that comes from nuclear power. In terms of it being actually cost effective to do, whether anyone's going to want a radioactive diamond powered watch, which technically isn't, but that's how people see it. Will people want that? Probably not. You can read any article about this on the internet and listen to the ignorant comments about how it's so much radiation it will kill you, and if you have a pacemaker with emits radiation, then you'll never get through the TSA. It's like you guys, one, don't understand radiation, and three, really think a lot of the TSA. I mean, I'm guessing there's some radiation detectors there in airports, but I mean, be reasonable. Be reasonable. Yeah, it's good news. I mean, anytime we can figure out a better way to get rid of nuclear waste or to reuse nuclear waste, and there's a lot of ways to do it. France does it a lot. It's a good day. Anyway, let's see what else. Oh, in late November, there was a Shia Muslim pilgrimage to Karbala in Iraq. About 20 million people traveled through Iraq to do this pilgrimage. Apparently one of Muhammad's sons got executed by the Umayyads, if I'm even pronouncing that correctly. I only know the Umayyads because of Battletech. But anyway, apparently the part of the big Shia-Sunni Muslim split is how important Muhammad's kids and grandkids are to this whole thing. So, Blarg. Can I make more torches? Is this a problem I can solve with torches? Thanks. Yes and no. Shit. No. No, it's not. Fuck. I mean, darn it. Darn all the things. Okay. So I can't punch through. I'm going to have to... Oh, we'll see. This is... Ah, crap. Did I... Yeah, okay. So this needs to go up a level. Right, excuse me while I fix myself. Yeah, okay. Derp. Alright, fine, whatever. Oh yeah, right. Enderman. So, anyway. Where was I going with this? I was going somewhere with this. I swear to God I was going somewhere. Oh yeah, right. So, naturally, as you might reasonably expect, what with ISIS existing and being the very pious Sunni Muslims that they are, this massive gathering of people they don't like, which is, basically everyone who's not ISIS, has drawn their attention, and they have, they try to attack this event, especially because it's outside of Mosul, which is their last stronghold in Iraq. And I was unaware of this. This is what the article I read, well, one of the articles I read on this said, is that, they whenever they're pushed in one area, they apparently attack others. I don't know about that. But, it's a large group of people who aren't ISIS. So naturally, they're going to try to do stuff. I think last year, they put out 7 dolls with explosives inside of it, in an attempt to get kids to pick up the dolls on the side of the road, the pilgrimage. So they could explode the dolls and kill some children because, wow, ISIS, right? These guys. But it is, and because of that, it's become larger than a Shia Muslim pilgrimage. It's become, non-Shia people have taken part in it as a protest against terrorism and as a show of defiance against ISIS. Again, this is 20 million people we're talking about here. So this isn't just a couple of folks. This is bigger than the pilgrimage to Mecca, right? because the Mecca pilgrimage is once in a lifetime. This is once a year. There is I believe it's a Buddhist Indian pilgrimage, which takes place at different places along the Ganges, I think it is. And they do that at different locations at different intervals, so it's not actually annual. This is an actual annual pilgrimage. It's one of the biggest. It's the biggest annual pilgrimage that the human race undertakes. And if you hadn't heard of it, that's really weird, right? Because it's kind of a big deal. And it intersects with terrorism, and it shows unity amongst not just Iraqi people, but Arabic people. But kind of funny, if you hadn't heard of it. What else? What else? I'm going to go back and I'm going to see if I can slip this iron into that that smelter back there on the 8th ring. So, you can see these cutaways are kind of helpful for navigating all this. Otherwise, I would have had to have gone out taking a big U-turn to get to this. Add that iron. Keep that iron there. Boop, boop. Boop. Oh, coal. In fact, I'm going to put some of this cobble back. Get more coal. Get more coal. Another. Yep, there we go. Anyway. So these are the escape hatches. I don't know if I've really shown these off. What time is it? Oh yeah, I forgot about this one. So these are escape hatches I built in, hopefully subtly. They're simply exit points from the mine for one reason or another. I gotta get in this thing before a monster finds me. Just as a way for me to quickly access the mines if I need to, or the external of my base. It's kind of a secret escape route. Again, not that my base would ever be overrun for any reason, because I mean this is Minecraft. It doesn't really work that way. But you know, as a thing, I'm gonna go ahead and take all of this to the top and just store it up. Yeah, it's a bit of a run, but at this rate, the run back to the center point of the mine is a longer run than just bringing all this stuff back up to my main base. You know, block the coal. Right. So what else is happening? What else is happening? Not too much. I think one of the best Magic stories of the year. You know, Magic, they used to have novels, and they've cut back on that, which is interesting because you'd think there'd be. I guess the margins were wrong for that. Anyway, forget all those guys. They're stupid. The stories that everyone's really excited about are the stories about Yahenni. It's they. Yahenni is a they from Kaladesh, an Aetherborn, who. The deal is that the Aether refinement process, which is basically just magic juice, creates what are called Aetherborn, which are sentient creatures with lifespans of just a couple of years. And one of them is a Aetherborn named Yahenni, who is wealthy and decadent and helps out the good guys, so you kind of like Yahenni. And oh, I forgot about this. Weird. Oh, we're having to farm spiders. So I'm also going to go back and get that chest full of stuff and at least haul it to the intersection here. So Yahenni's an Aetherborn. They're kind of nice. They help out the players. They have a certain sense of style and character. And anyway, everyone loves Yahenni. But as an Aetherborn, Yahenni's only going to live for so long. So everyone's really concerned for them, and they have a story which covers that. And Yahenni gets to do stuff. And it's hard to speak about. It's just, if you're not reading the Kaladesh stories, I would recommend reading the Kaladesh stories. You can just read them on the Wizard site. What else is happening? BattleTech. BattleTech got a new store, which is they sent me an email with it because I guess I bought stuff from their online store before, and they presumed I'd be kind of into that, which I don't know is not a completely unfair assumption. But the deal is that you go to their website and they got a thing there, as one might expect, and it's a BattleTech book, and it's got BattleTech written across the top, and the font is completely different from the books they've been putting out. And you're like, it's a font on a book. Maybe this isn't a big deal. Maybe it's not a big deal. The thing about BattleTech is that it takes place in several different eras. There's like the old school era, the clan invasion era, the era where the clans are basically solved, but then everyone's dying in a nuclear fire, and then there's the stuff after that where everyone's just, the next war's being fought with rocks and sticks. And then there's the era after that, which is like any minute now it's a coming. So they can sort of ignore all that rocks and sticks stuff, which was written by a completely different game studio for reasons which don't need exploring at this juncture. So anyway, so they changed the font on this book. And so now I don't know if that's part of the new thing that, was supposed to be coming to replace all the rocks and stick stuff, or if that's just a stylistic change. And the thing is that BattleTech introduced, like under the same game studio, they introduced a whole system for knowing what era a thing is in, right? And they're like, yeah, no, this is going to stop confusion. And I'm like, this seems like a great system. I'm excited to see it. So nowhere on this book do they cover what era it takes place in. So they've changed the look, they've changed the feel, and the product description is incredibly vague, where it's like BattleTech books, things to kill people with, and I'm like, oh shit, guys, this is 25% of all BattleTech product descriptions. So I don't know what it is or when it is. I don't know if it's a product I want, and it just seems like it's a weird thing to put on the front page of their new web store, new internet store, whatever. I don't know. I've quit trying to figure out how those guys run their business model. I mean, mining nostalgia with an industrial mech, I suppose. But boop, boop. I feel really good about my mining style today. Feeling really good about it. I mean, I am burning the heck out of this time. Whoa. Okay, that was weird. I don't know if you guys saw that, but some of the sky just clipped through the ceiling there. I thought it was water. It's gonna freak the hell out. So I've been trying to get out a little bit more. I've been trying to play. We had a game which called Eclipse Phase that has gone into permanent turnaround. And oh shit, I should have checked before that. And so I haven't been playing a lot. Yeah, I've been trying to get the roommates engaged, but they're not really engaged. So I joined a local board gaming group. And I don't like people. People are generally just terrible. So anyway, I go to these people and I kind of wait around, and they get there. And the last time I tried to meet with them, they were like 15 to 20 minutes late. So like I just played Magic. I'm at a game store. I brought Magic cards because you don't have to play Magic in a tournament. You can just play it to pass some time, right? So anyway, woohoo. You don't need organized play to enjoy. Up. And this is why we dig around ores. This is why we do this. Oh well. So, how you doing? Same deal there, huh? Alright. There could be lava on any portion of this wall, but I do want those ores. All right. So anyway, these guys do get there. They're on time this time, and so I go over and I'm like, hey, can I watch you guys play? And they're like, well, actually, you should just go over there and play with that guy. I'm like, that's cool. I'd rather kind of feel things out before I interact with people, but okay. So I go over there to play Agricola, and this guy has as an explain-a-brag, I guess he says he has every Agricola expansion, and that's what they're using. And I'm like, well, that seems, I guess, great if you want to have fun, but okay. He seemed game on explaining it to me, so I'm like, yeah, sure. It's Agricola. It's a fairly fundamental game. I've never played it before, but I've heard of it. Sounds like a fun game. Nothing but good stuff. I've heard of Agricola. It's a worker placement game, which again I haven't done, but I have seen worker placement games performed on tabletop. So yeah, I'm kind of familiar with it. I think also Bored with Life, I've seen it. Those are two productions that I watch related to games. 1, 2, 3. This is it. And so anyway, and this guy is the worst person in the universe at explaining Agricola. So either he just didn't want me around, and he was just being, he was wasting both of our times by not being polite about it. By being polite about it, or he was just completely incapable of understanding how to play a game. After like 5 or 10 minutes, he eventually got to the part where he told me how I would get resources, which is, as I understand it, a pretty big part of worker placement games. And about a third of the way through that, if I had to guess, I don't know how long it takes to explain resource gathering in Agricola with all of the expansions. He starts telling me about horses and how I have to keep my horses warm, or I have to build fences for them, or I don't know, man. It was at that point that I excused myself as politely as I could. I don't tend to naturally be polite with people, so I have to try really hard and never quite know if I stick the landing. And I had to leave, and it was just it was not very well. For a group who's like, hey, look, we want people who are new, and we want people to play games with us. Who openly invites people in a public forum. It seemed really not great. I didn't have a good time. I didn't feel welcomed. I felt like it was kind of for those folks, and then I was just interloping. Which, have fun with that. I guess for a lot of things, I don't expect a lot of people, but I guess it's the pretense. It's the pretense that I resent. The pretense that makes me ask, why are you even doing this? So I think I'm about to head into an open chamber, and that's why, if you can hear it, you can hear the multiple slappings of slimes, because I think this is a chunk which is full of slimes. They're probably going to shot me from behind. There we go. Come on. They're going to jump over the fire pit. They're going to jump over the fire pits. Alright. I'm happy to have the fire pits kill them, but if I'm going to kill folks and waste arrows on them, I want the experience. God, why does he sound like 8 slimes? Oh, because there's a second slime somewhere. Fucking slimes, man. Are they or are they not the worst? Listen to that. I can't do anything, all this fucking racket. Oh, they're up above. Alright. Get back down into my mining. So, personal projects, though. Personal projects. The Beige and the Bold continues apace. I think we did not record a week or two ago. We completely skipped that. And for like family reasons. It was Thanksgiving. So we're going to try to do a double recording this weekend. I think The Lonely Among Us. And maybe just a wild guess. I'm going to go with Haven for the episodes that we're going to record tomorrow. Definitely The Lonely Among Us, and that's going to be the one that goes up Monday. After that, I do not know. And then, of course, we've got no 17-1 this week, but we will have the Search for Spock the week after that. And then, guys, after that, it is going to be the one with the whales, and then it's going to be the Season 4 supplemental, and that'll be basically it for 17-1. I hope it's been a good time for you. Well, I'll eulogize 17-1 in the 3 or 4 weeks that it'll be before it gets up. I also have to shake other people down to just follow up on some casual discussions I've had about other podcasts related to BattleTech or general geek stuff or this or that or the other thing. So if you do hear me speaking differently as I'm speaking now, it's because I am trying to improve the elocution. I forget a lot. I get wrapped up in the Minecraft element of this. I get wrapped up in the actual content and reading from notes and remembering things, so that sometimes how I present is not at the forefront of my mind. But that's the process of doing things. It's the process of progressing and getting better at things, is just learning how to... Alright, I gotta unload cobble so I can go back and get all that cobble. And I'm gonna get andesite and diorite. Oh, I don't have... Shoot. Slimes, cobble. Nah, this will be fine. I'm sure it'll be fine. So always trying to work on that. Always trying to improve that when I can, because it's quite a bit. If you have a Let's Player and they record live videos with an actual audio track over to them talking, that person's working really hard. I'm terrible at it. I'm just really bad. But if they can keep that chatter up and just keep it going and keep it continue to react to the things which happen on the screen, which is very hard. I've seen a lot of folks do first-person shooters and things like that as part of a Let's Play, and that's insane. That's an insane level of just being able to... Okay, inventory's full. Gotta go upstairs. Of being able to multitask and just split your mind between different things. I mean, that's not... I'm not even close to doing that here. This is Minecraft. I haven't even shown you guys the hunting grounds. I kind of did want to show you the hunting grounds, but did not get a chance. So let me pop up here. I think that's about it. I think I've covered all the news stories. Oh, Disco Comics. You guys know that I'm cheap. I like comics. Comics aren't compatible with being cheap. They're kind of one-use buys. So you buy a comic, you read it once or twice. I mean, unless it's Watchmen, right? It's like you're probably not going to read it again. So it's a very disposable medium. No disrespect. So I'm a cheap guy. I buy discount comics, like 50 cents in my local comic store. It's fantastic. Wow. And I think this week I picked up Red Team. Yeah, I guess Red Team by Garth Ennis. I don't know if it's Red Team number 1 or if it's Red Team number 7. I have no idea, because both numbers were on the comic. It is exactly what you would expect from Garth Ennis, which is the biggest insult I can give to this book. I mean, it's boring. It's got talking head sections. It's got processed. It feels like reused clips from other things he's written. Like, you know how they reuse special effects and they don't... was not my intention. Sleep. Have a good sleep. They reuse special effects for movies, and like they changed the color palette and some of the guys in it, so you never know. And in the back of your mind that one day they're just going to do that with actors. It feels like that's what this is. Like, it's just a Garth Ennis action scene, and they just pasted someone's head over the Punisher or over not Butch not Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. Jesse Custer and Tulip, or some other thing that he's written, right? The Boys. It just feels like you've reskinned a Garth Ennis fight scene, and some Garth Ennis tough guy Irish talk, and then some Garth Ennis like scowling, and it's like I don't get this. Like, maybe he's just out. Maybe there's only 2 songs in him and he just wrote the third one. It just feels like processed stuff. Maybe he was doing his art guy a solid. I don't know. I have no context for the story because everyone knows what's going on. No one has bothered to tell me, the reader, which is realistic, I guess. I mean, there's There's almost no well, no, actually, there are entire exposition scenes, but they're expositing for stuff that's got nothing to do with me. They're just talking about how Macready knew already who knew Harrison Foofer. It's just like things happen and it's super there's so much gravitas to it. It feels like the climax of a book, but again, it's either number 1 or number 7. So I don't know if this thing was so bad it got canceled during the editing process. And maybe it's just different pages from an entire series, and Garth Ennis is just like, bro, we're canceled. So what we're going to do is we're just going to throw all the scenes we had written and drawn into the same book. Like, well, it all involves a fight at one house and then like 7 scenes of exposition, right? And he's like, yeah, it's fine. It's the book. It's the book, whatever. It's already canceled. It's already canceled. Who cares? I didn't like it. That's what I'm saying. It's bad. It's bad. If you ever see Red Team, don't. I mean, if you're already in Red Team, by all means, contact me and tell me what the hell is going on. But I don't see how there could be a fan of what's either a single book or just a complete pile of nonsense. I just don't see it. And I guess with that, the disco comic is usually the the note that I end on. So I know this hasn't been the most exciting visually, but I found a lot of damn diamonds. So sorry, and I'll see you later.